Okay, how to put this into words, given that so much of the insight that I experienced today was experienced in the body. It was experienced wordlessly. It was not a cognitive realization. It was not a form of cognitive understanding. It was more of what I think dancers and artists and tantrikas would call a kind of embodied insight, a realization that happens in your cells and in your guts and in your heart and deep in the recesses of your soul. Right? There is a cognitive way in which we can map the world. There is a cognitive schema that allows us to make models of reality and use those schematics to orient ourselves in the world. There's, of course, something to be said for this kind of sober and vigilant form of consciousness, one that is mapping the terrain and making sure that you're prepared for a rainy day. But the problem with cognitive-oriented consciousness is that even though it's great at long-term thinking, it's really bad at what you might call being present. Cognition is constantly mapping out and catastrophizing future-oriented kind of scenarios, and before long we've left our body. We're no longer in our body, and this starts to become a heavy burden, a kind of tax in our psychological lives, because we become essentially disembodied beings. And once we become disembodied beings, we lose touch with ourselves, we lose touch with our bodies, we lose touch with our archetypal nature. Some people refer to this as our masculinity or our inner masculine. The part of us that is visceral and guttural and exists in the body, the part of us that is instinct, the part of us that is lion, the part of us that is animal, the kind of embodiment that we so marvel at when we behold animals in natural habitats or rock stars on stages. There are people who have freed the brave, reckless gods within them. Dancers are another example. Gymnasts. These are people who literally embody, right? They are not just cognitively oriented. They're not just heads on sticks. But too many of us have become heads on sticks, including myself, and it has cost me profoundly, I think, in my personal relationships, because it has made it very difficult for me to commune with my lover, because there is a boundedness around me, an ego that is on patrol, that is on guard, that has kept me safe, that disallows and disavows responsibility. And so in other words, there's a part of me that goes, enter into this at your own risk. And typically then what happens is I pull back from the brink of the annihilation of the self, and instead of dropping into my body, I collapse back into my head, come up with an excuse why this person isn't right for me, and continue on my own, like a head on sticks. And today was different, because today I was listening to music during this experience when I found myself no longer there. And by no longer there, I mean the part of me that mentates. I was no longer mentating. The mind was not any longer mapping. I was instead taken hold of by music. My eyes were closed and I was free in a different way. It was like whatever question I ever had about how to dance gave way instead to the realization that dance is something that happens to you if you let it. It's not about being in control, but it's about actually the exact opposite. But it becomes then a state of trust in the body, in the natural rhythms and cadences and language and intelligence of the body, right? To be in rhythm with music simply means to be in tune and on time, right? There is a rhythm to things, and you can become attuned to that rhythm if you are in your body. There is this innate sensibility and intelligence, and it actually expands one's world and expands one's psychological life, and it expands the richness and the depth and breadth of one's experience. One becomes temporarily shamanic. And so it was interesting because I am a man of letters and I love words, and I use words to map, not just my everyday life, but also ineffable states. But I can't make the mistake of thinking that those states can be mapped without first being experienced without words. In other words, even I need to learn to close my eyes and just let go and close my mouth as well. And today, in song, I realized this is what I need to bring into the bedroom and into my interpersonal relationships and into my lovemaking. I need to get out of my head. And it landed deeply today as a psycho-physical adjustment that I think now is about to just unleash, hopefully, a set of changes in my life and a realization that a path needs to be adjusted and there's healing to be done. And it's going to require courage to let go of one's armor. So, bear with me. I'll report back.